Hey guys, so recently someone asked me the question, what's the worst advice that anyone's ever given you? And I want to share with you what this is because I have a feeling that some of you might have also received this bad advice from other people and that some of you might also be giving this bad advice to other people as well. And I want to make sure that that stops today. So let me share with you guys a story and context about how I first received this advice. I used to be the opposite of who I am and how I am today. Most of you already know my story, but back when I was in high school, I used to be very shy. I dealt with a lot of depression. I got bullied a lot, went to 3 different high schools, had a lot of social anxiety. I remember I used to skip a lot of school because I show up to school, I'd get picked on, or I show up and the teacher would ask me a question in front of everyone in the class and my face would turn red and I'd start sweating and shaking and I'd try to figure a way to go to the bathroom or try to get out of there, or the teacher would ask me to give a presentation in front of class and I was so terrified of the thought of that I'd rather skip class and take the 0 than actually showing up and doing it. So I barely graduated high school. I was always a C- student, always just trying to find a way to get by. Hated school, hated my life, hated myself, didn't have very many friends. Was a very negative person, wanted a girlfriend, but knew that wasn't going to happen. My way of escaping all of that was through video games and watching TV. Because I was so unhappy with my life, I didn't want to own up to it. I didn't want to take any responsibility. I didn't want to be honest with myself to change it. Didn't know how to change it. That I would just escape that. And for me, video games was like this fantasy world that I could enter into and I could be whoever I wanted to be. I could have control over my world. I could be competent and good at something and get significance from it because I was actually one of the better players in the games that I'd play. And so I'd get this, I felt this sense of power and confidence and significance from that. It was also a way for me to connect with other people as well because I didn't have people in my life that at least I could connect with these friends that I was making online, and that became my world. And I was in a very dark place. My family tried to help me, but didn't know how. Just made me isolate myself even more. Didn't have a good relationship with my dad, always fighting and arguing and yelling, never good enough type of thing. And so I was in this really bad place and had suicidal thoughts at times. And thankfully, grace from God is that I discovered self-development. I discovered that I could change, that I can improve myself. I discovered the fact that, I can be and change my life to make it the way that I want it to be. I could set goals. I could do anything. And it just kind of gave me this hope, different possibilities that I never had before. A new vision, a compelling future is really what it gave me. So for me, I had an experience. I hit threshold. I hit rock bottom, and I finally confronted everything. And I looked myself in the mirror and I said, you know what? You have to change, that you can't continue living your life this way. And I made a decision that I was never again going to settle in my life for less than I can be, do, have, create, or give. That I was going to change my life and make it the way that I want it to be. And so here I was, I got rid of all the video games and everything, got rid of the TV, and I redirected my focus to changing my life, to learning, to growing, to whatever it takes, through books and seminars and coaches and all the different things. And it's been a journey that has made me who I am today over the last 15 plus years that I'm incredibly grateful for. Now, for me at that stage of my life, the biggest area that I wanted to change was my social life, because I was so shy and insecure and had so much anxiety that I wanted to have friends and I wanted to have a girlfriend. At 17 years old, that was my main goal. I wanted to have a girlfriend. I'd see these other, girls in school, and I was too shy to talk to them. And I would see them with other people, and I'd fantasize about things. And, for me, that was the biggest pain point at that stage of my life. And so I decided, I got to learn this. I got a book called Double Your Dating by David D'Angelo that someone gave me online. It changed my life. I read it 7 times. And I learned that it's a learnable skill, that you can attract the opposite sex by learning how to become more attractive. And so here it was in this journey. I started going out to meet people and to push my comfort zone and face my fears. And that involved going out to the malls at 17 years old, or going out the street time during the daytime and approaching women and facing my fears and getting rejected and doing it again and again and again and learning how to improve myself, my personality, my confidence, my ability to joke around and be playful and fun, and all these different skills that I was trying to learn. The advice that I got, the advice that I consistently got from other people, from women, from people in my life, the advice that I got was to be myself. People would always say, Stefan, just be yourself. Be yourself, Stefan. You know, if you just be yourself, these girls are going to like you. If you just be yourself, everything's going to be great in your life. And that was always the worst advice that anyone could ever give me. It's the worst advice that you can give someone else. Because if I were to have continued to be myself, then I would have continued to have been alone. I would have continued to have been shy and depressed and had anxiety, been a negative person, unhappy with my life. So the worst advice that I ever received was just to be yourself. You see, I believe that the better advice is that we should be our best selves. You see, I believe that all we need is already within us, that we can be, do, have, whatever. And we just have to unleash within us the qualities, the traits, the resourcefulness. We have to awaken the sleeping giant within us to our true potential. That even though my identity at the time, or your identity right now, might be of someone who is unhappy or negative or depressed or whatever it might be, shy, all those really are beliefs. Okay, your identity of who you are is just a series of beliefs that you're using to define yourself. And they're limiting you at the same time. They're limiting you as believing that this is who you are. And that's what I believed about myself. And other people said, just be yourself. Well, listen, there's a lot more of me that's available. There's more that's available within you as well. That while I had all of those traits, they were not serving me in my life. But at the same time within me, there was someone who was confident. There was someone who was intelligent. There was someone who was resourceful. Someone that can make anything happen. Someone that was talkative and outgoing and social. That was already within me. And I needed to learn how to change myself or bring out more of what was already within me. To expand myself to become more. That if I continued just to be myself and not change or do anything, then my life was not going to change in any way, shape, or form. It's not until I had to be willing to change that my life would change. When you change, everything will change for you. When you change, everything will change for you. And that's when I got it, man. That's when I was like, you know what? In order for me to become more and discover who I really am, I have to be what I'm not. I have to take on different personalities. I have to explore different sides of myself that I never knew was already within me. I didn't know that I had a confident, outgoing, social person within me. It wasn't until I had to do things that was not normally myself. Because listen, other people, they perceive you as a certain way. They perceive you, Stefan, that's who Stefan is. Stefan was shy, Be yourself. And when they see you not being that, they see you start to be confident or more talkative or take on more of a leadership role or be more decisive or be charismatic. They're like, oh, you're not being yourself. No, I'm not being what you think that I am, what you've identified and labeled me as and limited me as in your mind. You know, I want to break the mold of that. I want to change, and that's going to make other people feel uncomfortable because when you start expressing yourself and being different sides of yourself and they see that, they're afraid that they're going to lose your love or connection, or they're going to feel insignificant if you actually become more and get what you want out of life. So it's actually a way, when they say just be yourself, don't try so hard, they're actually trying to suppress you unconsciously because they love you and they're trying to protect you and they're trying to protect themselves. And I had to, you know what, for me, I had to do things that were totally different than who I was. I said to myself, man, I got to do improv classes, acting classes, public speaking classes. I'm going to do the opposite. These things scare the shit out of me. I'm so nervous and afraid to do them, therefore I must do them. I must conquer these fears to find out who I really am, to become more, to ignite and unleash the truest part of myself. I remember doing improv classes. I was so terrified, and I did this one. I used to sign up for these classes called Acting for the Terrified, and I signed up for 6 sessions in advance, and I'd show up. I was so terrified to do this that I went to 2 classes. I couldn't even get myself in my car to drive to the 3rd class, and I wasted that money away. But I knew that I had to continue doing that to discover who I really was, to expand myself. And, sure enough, I did. I had started becoming this different person that was totally different than who I was before, but it was still me. It was already within me, but it just was dormant and asleep, and I had to waken it up. I had to ignite that side of myself. So I started doing all these things, approaching strangers and doing public speaking and purposely getting rejected and purposely failing just so I could desensitize myself towards that, and I could learn how to be comfortable with discomfort, that I could overcome my fears of rejection and failure. So I purposely failed just so that I could become the kind of person that didn't care what other people thought of me. I remember I would model other people that had personalities and traits. I studied them. I studied people that are charismatic and confident and had what I wanted. I try to model their beliefs and their behaviors and their physiology. And I start to mimic them and take on those different sides of myself and express myself in totally different ways. That's actually one of the things I learned in improv classes, because I remember it would scare the shit out of me, but our teacher would make us, we'd play this improv game. There'd be like 15 students in the class. We'd all have to pull out a piece of paper from a hat, and on that piece of paper would be a name of a celebrity that we had to act and improvise and imitate. We couldn't tell anybody who we were, but we had to put on that persona, right? So I remember for me, one time I pulled a name out of the hat and it said Madonna. So here I am, this shy, terrified kid who has no social skills or confidence, and now I have to act as if I'm Madonna. And then the next one is Michael Jackson, or the next one is, someone totally different. And I had to learn how to express myself totally different and be something that was total opposite of what I was, or what I thought I was, or what other people perceived me as. That's how you change. That's how you transform yourself, is when you do things that are totally different than what you believe that you are or what you're capable of. When you push your comfort zone massively and you take a quantum leap and you discover, wow, you know what? Maybe I'm more than what I thought I was. You're breaking your limiting beliefs and patterns, and you're expanding your identity, and then you're creating an identity and a self that is empowering, and you're designing and shaping yourself. As Bruce Lee said, I take what works, I discard what doesn't, and I create something uniquely my own. That's one thing Bruce Lee was most known for. He would model all the different martial arts and take certain pieces from it, took what worked, what was best from him, and discarded what didn't. And he created his own unique style and way of being. And even though he got criticized massively for it, he got criticized by all the different martial arts schools, and everyone said that, all these negative things that what he was doing. But he was able to discover and create himself to be the best version of himself. And all of us have that within us. But it requires you suspending your beliefs. Understand that your identity of who you think you are is not who you really are. It's basically just a series of beliefs of how you've decided who you are, or other people's projections of who you are that you've taken on as your own beliefs and way of being. Like for me, when I was in school, people would always say, Stefan, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're not going to amount for much, and you're a loser. All these negative things. And because I didn't know who I was, I didn't have my own identity, I just took on all these beliefs and I said, I guess that's who I am. I guess I am stupid. I guess I am ugly. I guess I am a loser. And I'm going years of my life throughout high school believing that, and believing that I'm a loser and that I'm not good at anything, and believing that I'm ugly. And so therefore, I could see definitely why I didn't have friends and I didn't have a girlfriend, of course, right? Because that's who I was. That's who I thought I was. And it wasn't until I decided, you know what, I can shape myself. I can create whatever beliefs about myself that I want that can serve me in my life. And I started doing things that were very different than how I was. In fact, oftentimes my family, at times when I was growing up in my early 20s, I didn't see my family a lot because I actually found that I felt that they were limiting me. And I would oftentimes I would be around my family, I would play a certain role, and they would reinforce that role. Because what's often challenging, like for me when I was around my family and I try to like be outgoing or social or crazy, whatever it is, playful, fun, they'd be like, whoa, you're like, what are you doing? This is not Stefan. Like, it was so weird for them that they would kind of try to keep me to have certainty of like, this is who you are. And I would play into that as well. And so I actually started to become this different person that my family didn't even know who I was because they only perceived me as a certain way. And I started going out and doing all these crazy things. And then other people would eventually see me after months and be like, wow, you're a different person. Like, your voice has changed, your eye contact, your body language, your presence. You seem more grounded, you seem more calm, you seem more comfortable, you're more talkative, right? And I just was making these incredible transformations in who I was because I was just exposing myself and trying so many different things, constantly pushing my comfort zone and becoming the best version of myself is the most important thing. So that's the lesson that I have for you guys, is don't limit yourself. Be careful how you define and label yourself, because understand that who you are, like this whole concept, this identity, it doesn't even really exist. Because it's like who you think you are is only based on the past, but right now in this moment, you can be whoever you want to be. Right? Like how people know you as is just basically a past series of beliefs. But the problem with that is if you continue to define yourself based on the past, or other people define you as that person, they say, oh, well, John is shy, or John is this, or John is that, then they're always limiting you to become more because they're defining you and keeping you in that box of who they already perceive you as. Right? So understand that it requires pushing your comfort zone. That's always the best way to change yourself. And that you should be making it your goal to be the best version of yourself. I think that's way better advice. Be the best of who you can be. Continue to grow, continue to evolve, and stop limiting yourself based on the past or what other people say or define or project onto you. Right now is a brand new moment. And you have the choice in this moment to be whoever you want to be. That right now in this moment today, starting from here on out, you can be a more confident person. You can be a more decisive person. You can be a leader. You can be a giver. You can be courageous. You can be confident. You can be intelligent. You can be fun. You can be silly. You can be playful. You can be more loving. You can be more happy, more grateful, more excited, more enthusiastic, more charismatic in your life. That you can be that right now. And it's just a choice that right now you can decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to move totally differently based on how I ever did before, right? I'm going to use my face, my body language, and my voice in totally different ways. I'm going to mimic and model other people. And the moment that I do, there's no fake it till you make it. The moment you do it, you're making it. It's now becoming a part of you. And that's a choice that you can make right now in this moment. You can make certain decisions to go for it, to say yes for things a lot more than saying no. Instead of having fear and doubt and worry and being negative, you could do the opposite. It reminds me of that episode of Seinfeld. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that episode. It's worth watching, where George and Jerry are talking, and George isn't happy with his life and complaining, and he's alone and he's broke and he's got no job. And then Jerry says to him, listen, everything you've been doing has got you to where you are right now in your life. But what if instead you did the opposite? You did the opposite of everything that you thought was right. And so sure enough, George decides, hey, you know what? In the past, I'd be too afraid and shy to go talk to the girl. But hey, you know what? If I did the opposite, what if I just go up to her? And so sure enough, in the TV show, he goes up to a girl at a coffee shop and says, my name's George. I'm unemployed and live with my parents. Total opposite of what he'd ever do. And she goes, oh, hi, my name's Elizabeth. And just totally blows his mind. And so recommend the episode. It's called The Opposite from Seinfeld. But what if you did the opposite of who you are or what you normally do? The past you was too afraid to go for it. Hey, you know what? Maybe the opposite is you go for it anyways. The past you was too afraid to raise your hand. Maybe the new you raises their hand and they take that initiative. Right? Or the past you, thinks of the worst in situations. What if the new you thinks of the positive, the good? Hey, you know what? What if you just tried it for 30 days? And if you don't like it, you can always go back to being miserable and unhappy and shy and depressed or whatever else. But I'm sure we both know that if you actually try it for 30 days and you actually did the opposite or you did things you don't normally do, you're going to come to the realization that there's more to you that you never knew that was there before. You come to the realization that you're capable of so much more. And hey, wow, if I'm capable of this, if I can do this and I never thought I could before, then what else can I do in my life? What else can I accomplish? What else can I strive for? How else can I expand myself and my life and who I am? That's when life becomes exciting. That's when there's no limits. That's when there's unlimited possibilities. And that's what I want for you. So I hope my updated advice can serve you. I hope I can inspire you to create yourself in the life that you know is there and to push your comfort zone, because that's the only way you grow. That's the only way that change occurs. So listen, if you guys are looking for more, check out my Life Mastery Accelerator program. It's got deeper coaching and training with me. That's at lifemasteryaccelerator.com. I'll have a link in the description for that. But if you enjoyed this, if what I shared resonated with you, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe for more videos, leave a comment below, let me know what you think, and I look forward to serving you again soon. God bless, take care.